the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Your hosts are Seth Jacobson and Patrick Heiler.
Thanks a lot, Comcast. You don't have to edit that out. Nobody likes Comcast.
Patrick, do you want to get us started off on this chapter?
19, right?
Yeah.
Starting today with chapter 19, Beneath the Dagger, and our symbol is the horn, which is beneath the dagger in the chest.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Didn't really think about that, but yeah, I like that title.
This lamp for a second, so I can read my ancient paperback technology over here.
What? You got like that ink on the paper, and it's just crazy.
Many innocent trees died to make this. Night on the edge of Kinslayer's Dagger was cold, as nights in the mountains are always cold. The wind whipped down from the high peaks, carrying the iciness of snowcaps. Rand shifted on the hard ground, tugging at his cloak and blanket, and only half asleep. His hand went to his sword, lying beside him. One more day, he thought drowsily. Just one more, and then we go. If no one comes tomorrow, Ingtar or Dark Friends 1, I'll take Celine to Cairhien.
So she's basically gotten them to hang out and wait for somebody to show up. She's convinced them that the trail is the future trail and that they're waiting around. And Rand's still a little skeptical of that.
Yeah. And we know she's right.
Well, yeah. Because she's Lanfear.
Yeah.
Celine talked of the Horn of Valir and touched his arm and looked into his eyes. And before he knew it, he had agreed to yet another day before they went on. I think that was a little bit of the compulsion light we were talking about earlier in the last chapter. That little, makes you feel good because she's sexy.
I don't know if you can... I don't see why not. Why you couldn't have just a general air of compulsion. But I noticed later when they're talking to the Cairhienin captain that he's even pulled into it.
Totally.
I mean, loyal her and he is.
But so she's definitely keeping him there. Not really against his will, but definitely...
She's making sure that he stays.
Yeah, totally. She wants him to have the horn.
Hurin had the first watch. From a stone outcrop a little way up the mountain. He would be coming to wake Rand for his turn soon. Rand rolled over and stopped. In the moonlight, he could see the shape of Celine, bending over his saddlebags, her hands on the buckles. Do you need something?
Why are you going through my shit?
She jumps and gives some silly excuse about needing to clean something to wear while she cleans her dress, which Rand notes is perfectly clean.
Yeah, he's like, you need a brush? I can get you a brush. But she's just, what do we think, just snooping for something?
I don't know what her intent is. The banner occurred to me, but I don't know why it would matter,
I think she's doesn't even know what's in the saddlebag. I think she's just checking to see what's in the saddlebag. There's two sides, right? And he's got one side full of junk that he's always going into to pull stuff out of.
Yeah.
And he's got one side that's just never touched. And she's probably like, what's in the other side? I don't think she has to know it's the dragon banner to be looking and snooping.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, surely jealous ex-girlfriends never go through cell phones to look for evidence of anything.
Wasn't someone saying that last week, that Lanfear is the ultimate jealous ex-girlfriend?
Definitely.
Going through Rand stuff.
I don't think she actually does see the dragon banner.
No, I think Rand goes and opens it. He says, of course, here's this white shirt that you can wear while you're cleaning your dress.
And he says that the buckles were all fastened, so it'd be pretty impressive for her to pull it out and then put it back in and buckle it back up.
And then she's got this whole spiel will you help me take my dress off? And Rand's freaking out.
Yeah, and of course he says, the dress is as clean as when he first saw her, because of course it's clean.
Yeah.
That's totally a lie, that it's dirty.
And Rand's too Puritan for it. He's like, it just wouldn't be proper to help you with these buttons.
And of course that look, girl in a guy's t-shirt, yeah.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. Honestly, Animal House. I don't think you've seen that movie, right?
I feel like I must have. It's such a...
there's just a scene where the girl is in a guy's shirt.
Do you know the name of the actress?
No idea.
Compulsion Light.
Mm-hmm.
the more we talk about this, the more I doubt that Lanfear is really the most beautiful person that ever walked the earth. I think that she's just constantly flexing her power on people. We also, in previous chapters, have talked about that, it's Rand here that she's manipulating, but like she probably doesn't even need compulsion. He's so puritanical at this point that...
Well, and as I've asked, where's the line? Where's the line between just a hot, manipulative, feminine wile and a
dumb 18-year-old boy
and a little bit of light compulsion?
Yeah. That's probably, I vote both. I think it's both.
Well, again, I come back to Loyal being the real evidence for a little bit of compulsion.
That's the best evidence.
Yeah.
This is where Lanfear assures Rand that the Dark Friends will definitely come this way.
Yeah, isn't she trying to talking to him about the glory again?
Yeah. He sees her in the shirt.
She's
freaks out.
Totally obsessed with glory.
Just think of the glory, Rand. She wants him to fall for this trope so that they can rule the world together.
Yeah, but the funny thing with Rand is he doesn't even need the horn to have a ton of power.
You have no idea the heights we will scale together, you and I. With the horn of Valyr in your hand, you can be a king. You can be another Artur Hawkwing. You, Lord Rand, Hurin panted into the campsite. My lord, they... He skidded to a halt, suddenly making a gurgling sound. Forgive me, my lady, because she's standing there in only a shirt now. Rand heard Celine's sigh behind him. Did you see something, Hurin?
You interrupted my seduction, Hurin. Well, and I this is sort of a humorous scene with the two of them like standing in the moonlight, and then like Sidekick comes stumbling in, and then Loyal sits up. What's going on? Like it's just everyone wakes up, like lights come on, and then just like Celine like
Lanfear sighing loudly. A fire, my lord, down in the hills. I didn't see it at first. They made it small and hid it, but they hid it from somebody following them, not somebody ahead and up above. 2 miles, Lord Rand. Less than 3, for sure. Thane, Rand said.
Well, and he knows it's not Ingtar because they're hiding from the rear, not from someone ahead of them.
Yeah, and Ingtar wouldn't bother hiding anything. Rand suggests that they just hide and follow the party to make sure that they aren't lost, and they wait for Ingtar to catch up, which is a sensible solution. Because they don't know how many Trollocs are down there, but a lot, and certainly more than 3.
Yeah, the 3 of them don't have a great chance in walking in there, slaughtering the Trollocs, taking the horn, and getting out alive. But Celine thinks that that's exactly what they should be doing.
You will let this Ingtar take the Horn of Valyr and the glory?
Again, the glory.
I don't want... 3 of us cannot take it away from them. Ingtar has 20 lances with him. You don't know you cannot take it. How many followers does this man have? You don't know that either. You don't know if you even know if these men camped there do have the horn. The only way is to go down yourself and see. Take the Atlantan.
And it's not a terrible suggestion to go scout.
No, it's not a terrible suggestion, but if I were in Rand's position, I wouldn't be getting anywhere near all those Trollocs. It's crazy.
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah. Well, and especially because they end up stumbling right into the middle of the camp.
Yeah. Rand has Hurin take them out to the outcropping and look down, scout it out, see where the fire is.
I noticed when they get back that the shirt seemed to fit her better than he recalled, molding itself to her form.
While she urges him to remember the glory.
Yeah. It's, again, a little more channeling, a little tweaking of the shirt, make it fit a little better.
I think so.
Yeah.
Falls too perfectly into what would appear to be her plan, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up doing exactly what Celine wants him to do, which is taking Loyal and walking down there to go scout it out. Rand asks him what a lantern means, and Loyal explains that it's a formal term for Ogier. It means brother to the trees, or short for brother to the trees.
And you notice the root for trees is the same root in Avendasora.
Yeah, Avenda.
Yeah.
Avenda Lantern, tree brother. This is kind of important here that as they're walking along shortly after that, Rand wishes he could stop thinking, and before he realized it, the void formed within him, making thoughts distant things, as if part of someone else.
And we've been speculating that the void, when he embraces the void, it actually hides him from Fane's sense of where he is.
Right.
Because Fane kept complaining that he would disappear and reappear in Faldara. And we definitely thought that it was when Rand sees the void.
And we get, what do you call it, our theory is proven true in this chapter here.
Yeah, so Fane definitely seems to react to Rand when the void either slips or when he lets go of it and when he reassumes it. So I definitely want to point that out as we run into each of those little instances.
They're walking along, and suddenly some trick of the moonlight resolved the shadows ahead of him, and he froze, touching the rough bowl of leather leaf. Dim mounds on the ground became men wrapped in blankets, and apart from them, a group of larger mounds, sleeping Trollocs. They had doused the fire. One moonbeam, moving through the branches, caught a shine of gold and silver on the ground, halfway between the two groups. The moonlight seemed to brighten. For an instant, he could see clearly. The shape of a sleeping man lay close to the gleam, but that was not what held his eye. The chest, the horn, and something atop it, a point of red flashing in the moonbeam. The dagger.
So they basically walked right in, like I said, they walked right into the middle of the camp. They just sort of stumbled into it.
Almost step on a Trolloc, more or less. Loyal's huge hand settled over Rand's mouth.
Now, the Trollocs, they didn't put out any scouts or anything like that, and no one watching as far as I can tell.
No, they seem to be like leaning against trees at the very edge of the camp, just kind of dozing. Here it says, Loyal pointed off to his right, slowly, as if motion might attract attention. At first, Rand could not see anything. Then a shadow moved, not 10 paces away. A tall, bulky shadow, and snouted. Rand's breath caught. A Trolloc. It lifted its snout as if sniffing, and then it promptly sits down, leaning against a tree, and falls asleep.
Do you think that was supposed to be the watch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just lazy Trollocs always falling asleep on duty.
Tam had told him Trollocs were lazy.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the... Tam's right, as always.
Yeah, Tam knows everything.
Mm-hmm. So the moonlight hits the chest, and Rand sort of gets a mind image of it and realizes that he can get both the horn and the dagger, and is basically like, well, I was supposed to come scout, but I'm in the middle of camp, and it's right there. He almost loses the void when that Trolloc sniffs for him.
Oh, yeah.
And when the void wavers, someone stirred in the Dark Friend camp, and the Trolloc turned to peer that way. So I think the person that stirs in the Dark Friend camp is Fane.
Rand describes him as the man sleeping nearby, no more than 2 paces from the chest. And the camp is kind of divided with humans on one side, Trollocs on the other, and they make a big circle around Fane, who sleeps alone with the chest and the dagger. Rand crawls across on his belly, and he goes to grab the chest, and he sees that the dagger's there, and he jerks back. And it says, the void shifted with his agitation. The man sleeping nearby, no more than 2 paces from the chest, no one else lay so close by spans, groaned in his sleep and thrashed at his blankets. Rand allowed the void to sweep thought and fear away. Murmuring uneasily in his sleep, the man stilled.
And so what we see is that, like, 2-3 times already, that whenever the void is disturbed in Rand's head, Fane stirs and moves.
Yeah. So as soon as the void shifts a little, we think that's well, at least part of the evidence that the void hides Rand from Fane.
Definitely.
Grabs the dagger, sticks it in his belt, tries not to touch it for very long.
And then he's sort of like, well, I can't open the chest.
And he can't lift the chest.
So he tells Loyal, come get it. Loyal picks it up like it's nothing, because Loyal's a beast.
Ever so carefully, even more carefully than he had come in, Rand began to walk out of the camp, behind Loyal and the chest. And then a few lines down, the man who had been sleeping near the chest suddenly sat up with a strangled yell, then leaped to his feet. It's gone! Wake, you filth! It's gone! He's freaking out.
The line right before that, I feel like Rand, he's like, almost free. We've done it. And I feel like he has this moment of relief and lets go of the void. And that's what allows Fane to wake up right then.
I think the void gets a little shaky again. Because then we see here, I know it's you, Althor. You're hiding from me, but I know you're out there. He gets the Trollocs and human and dark friends to go running off and scattering out into the night looking for him.
Well, one Trolloc jumps out.
A Trolloc leapt out of the dark at them, cruel eagle's beak in a man's face, where mouth and nose should have been, scythe-like sword already whistling through the air. Cat dances on the wall. The Trolloc screamed as it fell.
Love those sword forms. As
yeah.
always.
I love the way that the sword forms are written because it makes you imagine, or leaves the action up to your imagination so that you can sort of make it make sense. Because we don't know what Cat Dances on the Wall looks like, but it's.
But we can imagine.
Yeah. It's, I think, the perfect way to write this kind of action scene. He was dimly aware of Loyal lumbering to an awkward gallop, but another Trolloc loomed from the night, boar-snouted and tusked. Spiked axe raised, smoothly, Rand glided between Trolloc and Ogier. Loyal must get the horn away. Head and shoulders taller than Rand, half again as wide, the Trolloc came at him with a silent snarl. Courtier taps his fan. No scream this time.
And then Rand sort of goes through a bit of back and forth on whether he wants to use the power to destroy them all. You know, he's like struggling with himself because he wants to burn them all with the power.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's trying not to use the power here.
Better dead than that, he thinks, than use the power.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this weird little paragraph where a knot of Trollocs came into sight, hunting uncertainly. 3 of them. 4. Suddenly one pointed to Rand and raised a howl, and the rest answered as they charged. Let it be done with, Rand shouted, and leapt to meet them. For an instant, surprise slowed them. Then they came on with guttural cries. Gleeful, bloodthirsty. So this is almost like Rand, it's like a death wish.
Yeah, he really seems to... He's struggling with the idea that he is going to channel and die, and it's sort of occurring to him that he's never going to be able to avoid channeling. And so he's sort of saying to himself, do I suffer the fate of channeling and dying, or should I just do what I can now and go out in a blaze of glory and not be a risk to my friends and not be a threat?
Yeah, my first thought was that as long as the Dagger and Horn get away from the Dark Friends, Rand is pleased. You feel like he's done his task, and it doesn't really matter that he dies. It helps also that he's wrapped in the void and can make decisions like that without emotion.
I just had a thought. He's carrying the dagger. Of course he's got negative thoughts in his head. Of course he's got, better to be dead, suicidal, paranoid thoughts.
If I were dead, it would be done with.
He's got the dagger in his belt.
Yeah. And we know that he forgets that it's there later, which is a little bit of evidence that it's affecting him.
Yeah, and the dagger is definitely anti-shadow, so it's probably spurring him on to attack the Trollocs.
Rand stared at the motionless shapes on the ground around him. Better to be dead, he murmured. He raised his eyes, back up the hill toward where the camp lay. Fane was there, and the Dark Friends, and more Trollocs. Too many to fight. And then Loyal's yelling at him.
Mm-hmm.
Rand, come on! He's waiting at the horses. I'm skipping a bit. How are you going to ride with that in your saddle? After Rand returns, I will run. The Yogir suited his words by breaking into a quick trot, pulling his horse behind him by the reins. Rand followed. The pace Loyal set was as fast as a horse could trot. So I think he ties the chest on top of the horse and then just pulls the horse along behind him.
Yeah, which is a great image of him just like yanking the horse up.
Giant tree man lumbering through the forest.
Carrying the horse.
As fast as a horse can trot.
Yeah.
He trotted into their campsite on the mountainside with only a little hard breathing. And this has all been uphill.
Mm-hmm. Loyal can run.
Yeah, he said he beat a horse in a race that one time.
Rand's always really skeptical. He's always like, he says he can run. And then we see him do it. And he's like, well, I guess maybe he can keep up the pace for a little while. And he keeps up the pace the whole time.
Yeah, he's like an 11-foot tall Aielman.
Yeah. With crazy amounts of strength and endurance.
Yeah.
He just never gets tired.
And then Rand says, Celine, I don't know how to open the chest. Loyal, do you? And of course, Lanfear knows how.
Yeah.
This is
let me try. Mm-hmm.
a particular type of chest. We know that Moraine was able to open it. Lanfear knows how to open it, and
Turok, yeah, the Shan Chan noble.
There's some kind of pattern on the chests that people who have studied these things or are aware of them know how to read it, or...
Seems like, yeah, you have to be able to study some ancient, either mathematical or I'm guessing it's just a known pattern that they used during the Age of Legends.
Yeah.
And so, someone who was from the Age of Legends or people who have studied it would be the only ones who would know how to open it. And we see Fane is often frustrated by his inability to open the chest.
She reached up to touch the finely wrought patterns on the chest, ran her hands across them, pressed. There was a click, and she pushed the lid up, let it fall open.
Tia mi haven, Mordin, Isandra Vadin. The grave is no bar to my call. And I wanted to point out that the Moradin there, the grave, the word for grave is the same as the word for death that is Moradin's name. Ishmael's name.
In the old tongue, words, the meaning of words can change based on the context. So Moradin, grave, or death. And it would make sense either way.
Mm-hmm.
Death is no bar to my call. The grave is no bar to my call. They agree to head toward Cairhien to continue running away. Selene, I think, wants him to stand there and destroy all the Trollocs. For some reason, she really wants him to channel. She keeps urging him to fight.
She definitely wants him to gain power. I think there's also a little bit of the Dark One's trap that, maybe if he channels, he'll get a little more taint and he'll be forced to turn.
To be protected from the taint. Exactly.
So the faster he starts channeling and get a taste of that power, the faster she's going to be able to be like, I got this nice taint-free power over here for you.
I'm nodding. Makes sense. Cairhien, Rand agrees. I noticed that when Rand goes to grab the knife, Selene urges him to be very careful. Don't cut yourself, she says. It's interesting that we know that she would be able to feel the dagger.
Oh, yeah.
And that Fane may very well be able to sense where the dagger is, as well as where Rand is.
Yeah, I assume he has some attraction to the dagger.
With his connection to it, any top-notch dark friend can sense it.
I like how Selene, she says, well, you've got two choices, and we've often talked about, how do you control someone's behavior? Give them two choices. And she's like, they're going to hunt you unless you know some way to kill them all. And he's like, nope, don't know any way to kill them all.
Surely not.
Mm-mm. Of course, he's thinking about, the power is calling to him to burn them all.
Be careful, Selene said. Do not cut yourself. Rand felt a shiver inside. If simply carrying it was dangerous, he did not want to know what a cut from it would do. This is from Shadar Logoth, he told the others. It will twist whoever carries it for long. Taint them to the bone the way Shadar Logoth is tainted. Without Aes Sedai healing, that taint will kill eventually. So that is what ails Matt, Loyal said softly. I never suspected.
I'm honestly surprised Loyal wasn't able to figure that out about Matt earlier. Seems like he would, having passed through Shadar Logoth and having seen the signs of the paranoia, seems like he would, he knows they passed through Shadar Logoth.
Yeah. They must have mentioned it. Rand tells him the whole story when they're in Caemlyn.
Yeah, I thought he told him the whole story, including about the dagger.
I would think so.
So then why is Loyal surprised here?
I don't know. I don't know that we actually see that dialogue. I think that it's in the middle of the eye of the world somewhere.
I think we found a small plot hole.
But we don't actually see the dialogue, but we see Loyal prompts him to say tell me about your travels or something like that, and then Rand says and then Rand unloaded and he just tells him everything.
Yeah.
He's spent this whole time trying to he's lying to strangers and making up stories, and Loyal is the first person that he tells the story straight to.
And I think he would have mentioned the dagger.
Does Rand know that the dagger is dangerous at that point? Does Rand know that it's not just a dagger?
I mean, that's the end of Matt's. Matt is super paranoid. He's not coming out of his room. He's curled around the dagger, clutching it. He knows that there's something going on, and he knows that Matt is sick.
Discord says Moraine, that's before Moraine, so Rand may not really understand what's going on.
I guess.
Or that
It's
the dagger
entirely
is
possible.
significant. Like, he knows that Matt is acting crazy, but he doesn't know,
Well, yeah, but it's more loyal that I think should have put it together.
That is a little surprising.
Maybe Rand just didn't even mention the dagger. He just glossed over the dagger.
Yeah. Yeah. And Matt even apologizes at one point and says, I'm sorry, I'm just hungry and tired and everybody's chasing us. Which is partly due to the dagger, but...
No, well, yeah, that's why they're all showing up where they are.
The story's not quite clear until Moraine shows up a few chapters after that.
Right. So to protect them from the dagger, they throw it in the chest, which is probably a good idea considering we just saw it affecting Rand and nearly caused him to commit suicide.
Yeah. The chest will surely shield us, Celine said in a tight voice. And now I mean to finish what is left of my night's sleep, now that there's a bunch of Trollocs and Dark Friends running through the night chasing them. Lanfear's like, I'll have a nap, I guess.
Her sense of what's dangerous is all out of whack.
If that's not suspicious.
What did they say? Only someone with a guilty conscience sleeps the first night in prison? If they're awake and walking around and nervous, they're probably innocent.
Snakes and Foxes is asking if the chest is a small stasis box, and I don't know. I think we know that the chest is from the Age of Legends.
Yeah.
I've suspected that it has special properties itself, but I have nothing to back that up.
Yeah.
Aradia's pointing out that it survived in a pool of pure Sidene, which is a great point.
It was placed there to survive.
Yeah.
And the banner survived, and the seal survived, and those were all placed there outside of the chest. So if they'd been in the chest, I would say, yes, absolutely, stasis box. But they weren't. They were placed outside the chest.
Yeah, I don't know that we ever get a really good description of a stasis box or what it looks like either.
No, we don't, other than they were found. But, I mean, they find a golem in a stasis box, so they've got to be pretty big.
Maybe.
Or somehow other dimensional is what I'm thinking.
I would think so.
That, TARDIS technology, bigger on the inside. I mean, I like the idea of this being a stasis box, but I just don't think, I think it's its own special thing. I think it's just the golden thick, it's just like lead is a decent protector of radiation. I think the thick gold chest is going to protect you from the dagger.
I'll buy that. I'm nodding.
But it could also, it could have some special properties of protection and, holding. I think we see Elida place a weave of holding on a flower.
Yeah.
So it could definitely have something like that built into it.
Sue Lanfear wants to have a nap, and Rand shakes his head. We're too close. Fane seems able to find me, sometimes. Seek the oneness if you are afraid, Celine said.
And we know that would probably keep Fane from finding him.
I want to be as far as from those dark friends come morning as we can be. I will saddle your mare. Stubborn. She sounded angry, and when he looked at her, her mouth curved in a smile that never came close to her dark eyes. A stubborn man is best. Once, her voice trailed off, and that worried him. Women often seem to leave things unsaid, and in his limited experience, it was what they did not say that proved the most trouble. She watched in silence as he slung her saddle onto the white mare's back and bent to fashion the girths.
What do you think? A stubborn man is best once...
I thought, when I saw that, again, we can only speculate, but when I saw that, I almost thought she was going to say, once I remember this happened. We were here and this happened, and you were also stubborn about something similar. She was going to bring up a story.
Oh, that she was going to be once upon a time this happened?
Yeah.
I thought she was saying a stubborn man is best once he's broken in.
Sounds like something Nynaeve might say.
Yeah. Or Egwene.
Or Swan.
Yeah. And that was the women often seem to leave things unsaid, and that's yeah.
And then we have a couple paragraphs from Fane's perspective to close out the chapter. Fane has all the Trollocs gathered in, and he kills one as an example. The one that says that Rand got away.
We often see Fane pulls out his little tricks when he gets too emotional, and he can't contain his own feelings, and he unleashes them on somebody else, and it causes them to do this sort of frenzied, snapping at the ground, crazy, frantic death throes thing. We see him do it with a small boy later on.
It still snapped at the ground, muddied with its own blood, hooves scraping trenches as they jerked. Go, Fane whispered. He stares off at Kinslayer's dagger. Althor was up there, somewhere in the mountains, with the horn. His teeth grated audibly at the thought. He did not know where exactly, but something pulled him toward the mountains, toward Althor. That much of the Dark One's gift remained to him. I don't know if Rand's still in the void.
No, he dropped it. There's a scene where he does...
He lets it go.
He lets it go, yeah.
He had hardly thought of it, had tried not to think of it, until suddenly, after the horn was gone. Gone! Althor was there, drawing him as meat draws a starving dog. I am a dog no longer. A dog no longer! He heard the others shifting uneasily around the fire, but he ignored them.
So he's just rebelling against the Dark One.
He goes on yelling crazily.
The world will pay.
You will pay for what was done to me, Althor.
So yeah, Fane's still insane, and now he has a reason to be after Rand.
Yeah.
He wants his dagger back, wants his horn back.
And chapter 19.
Cool. Now I'm recording.
Hi, Timber.
Timber waited until I said we're starting to record to make a bunch of noise.
I bet that's what Lance Horse looks like. Scary and giant. As a kid who grew up in New Jersey, I gotta admit, horses kind of scare the shit out of me. They're huge, and they get scared and and break fences. Like, they can't... I don't know. They scare the crap out of me.
They're like big dogs.
They're giant dogs.
Well, yeah, but...
They could accidentally step on you and break something. It's... I don't know. I'm always a little nervous around horses.
Yeah.
I also have zero experience, like riding horses or being near them even, really.
Yeah, we're doing a random late night recording session. We're down in the coffee at 8 p.m., so it's going to be an interesting evening. So, and we're going to try and get through 3 episodes.
See if we can do it.
Yeah, that's the plan. We managed to, I managed to not record us doing episode chapter 19. So we're going to try and redo that and then do our normal 2 that we do on a Sunday.
It happens.
Yeah. But I wanted to start off with the patrons.
Oh, yeah. We got a couple new ones just this week, and Discord's kind of hopping.
Yeah, it's been nice to see the folks who jump on Discord then end up wanting to listen live, and I think a couple of them have donated.
Yeah, that's awesome. By the way, I threw it out there last week. If any patrons joined Discord and you're not able to listen live right now, we can fix that. Sometimes, depending on how you do it, if you don't do it quite right, it doesn't give you all the permissions.
Well, they can't hear you.
Yeah, that just occurred to me.
Right.
I'll go ahead and type that in the channel.
That's if you can't hear me
saying this
say
to a bunch
this,
of people who don't need my help.
Yeah. If you can't hear me, here's what you need to do to fix that.
Yeah.
Well done, Patrick.
Doing what I can.
But I figured I'd start with Sarah Cannon, who pledged, and that was right at the end of last month. And then beginning this month, we had Charles. Oh, I should really practice these before I bring them up, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Or do you guys enjoy listening to me struggle with the names?
Names are difficult, and,
All right.
We're not better than anyone.
Schexn.
That can't be a real name. Schexen?
Ayder.
Schexenator?
Schexenator. Charles Schexenator. Thank you very much. Then we got Torbjorn Carlson, Eric Cox, Nick B jumped it up, and Dagan Mosley.
Thank you so much, guys.
Just read those off real quick, but it's been nice to see the donations come in.
Heck yeah.
I always say those are like my favorite emails to get. The patron emails that are like, you have a new pledge. I'm like, yes.
No, it's totally awesome.
Yeah.
And our dream is to one day just sit in this basement and do nothing but make podcasts. So every dollar is a step closer.
Yeah, and in the meantime, it's just a lot of fun to, be able to hand Patrick a little bit of money and, go to a bar with like Morgantini last night.
Yeah, that was cool. Just got some tacos and had a beer. Talked about the Wheel of Time and what if.
Being a mortician.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Dude's got some interesting stories.
Very interesting stories.
What's up, Jonathan?
Hey. Yeah, it was good to see you last night, man. Yeah, the tacos were really good.
Yeah, that place was good.
What was it?
Robo Taco?
Robo Taco.
It's like right east side of the Morrison Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the closest bridge.
I think the trick is the tacos are tiny, but delicious. So you have to order enough. It's very easy to be like, 2-3 tacos. And that's no.
Yeah, I always just get a burrito.
Yeah.
Because it's enormous.
It's big.
Yeah.
But the tacos are so good. And then we went next door to
A bar called Creepies?
Creepies, yeah. They had like dolls behind the bar. It was definitely
I didn't
creepy.
even notice that.
No. It was like mixed in with the alcohol.
It was a
like
cool
bunch
little
of
bar.
bars. Yeah.
Once he told me the venue he was going to be in, I was like, oh, we're not even going to really have to look for a place to meet up
we
with
just
him. There's
walk
like
down
so
the
much
street.
stuff there. It's pretty much downtown, although not technically. It's like the edge. It's the cool part of Southeast.
It's on the other side of the river from downtown.
Yeah.
So like directly across the river from downtown. So it gets a lot of the downtown traffic
Mm-hmm.
still being on the east side. But yeah, so it was pretty packed by the time we got up to go because it was a Friday night and yeah.
Yeah, that was my first drink in
Oh yeah,
like 35 days.
yeah. That was that was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm impressed you took a whole month off.
Me too.
I did not.
I meant to do it for my birthday, but I only made it like 2 weeks that time.
Oh, and Jonathan was very disappointed he didn't get to meet Timber.
Oh, we probably could have brought him. A lot
Yeah.
of bars in Portland just don't fucking care. They're just like, as long as your dog isn't ruining anything, they could just wander around. I'm not sure what the rules are. I think as a bartender, I would just look the other way.
Oh, I'd be like, come here, buddy.
I'm not about to be like, hey, let me see that service dog's papers. I don't care.
I mean, yeah, unless someone complained or the dog was a ass hat, which I worry about Timber being out in public. He tends to be vocal. He likes to talk to the other dogs by barking.
And there's definitely some restaurants, if your tables are technically outside, even if they're underneath a roof, there's a couple of places that do that.
Right,
You're
screen
allowed to have
door
your
gets
dog.
away with that.
Yeah. I don't know what the laws are.
Oh, buddy.
I'm probably legally required to know what the laws are, and I don't.
I was gonna say, shouldn't you know?
Well, there's also the weird thing where you're not allowed to ask if a service dog is a service dog.
That's not true.
It isn't?
No,
I thought it was.
no,
I thought you're not allowed to bother them.
that's not true.
Oh.
Well, and you know the difference between a service dog and like an emotional support dog?
No, I don't know what the difference is.
A service dog is a trained dog that should be wearing a vest and is often and has all sorts of certifications and requirements.
Like a seeing eye dog.
Yeah,
Like a for real, like $50,000 dog.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my parents are actually raising a dog for the deaf.
Oh, we talked about that.
Yeah. And so, but then there's an emotional support dog, which is something very different.
Just
and those
a
dogs
dog.
don't have to be trained. They're just pets that you basically get a permit so you can have them with you. The problem is so you can take them with you into an apartment
I see.
and to get through like transportation fees. But it's not really the dog. I think if a service dog is going to be clearly marked. And so you don't have to ask because they're going to be wearing something. An emotional support dog, you are definitely allowed to ask because you can definitely get rid of them because they
Gotcha.
definitely are untrained.
I have, in my time in the restaurant industry, I've literally never seen that happen. Like, I've never seen anyone care or,
Sure.
yeah.
No, and I mean, Portland's definitely a city where we're so dog friendly. Most people are like super happy to see dogs in the restaurants.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about this town that makes us weird like that, but we're just totally pro dog.
I feel like it makes me feel more like at home.
Yeah.
I remember when I lived in Brooklyn, I'd like be shopping in a bodega buying fruit or something, and I'd see like a cat sitting next to the canned goods and feel like just like pet the bodega cat. Like it's cool. I like that. It feels more homey in there.
And I love shop dogs. If you go into like a shop and there's like a husky that just like lies in a corner and like loves it if you pet his stomach. Like there's a couple of like antique shops that have those sorts of things.
I also like the idea that if there's a cat hanging out in that bodega, there's probably less rats messing with the produce.
That's probably why cats are.
That's why store owners do it. I'm sure it's illegal, but
Yeah. Why they did it in Egypt.
Yeah.
Right.
And I figure those store owners have like plausible deniability. They could be like, "What? There's a cat in here?" And just what are you going to do?
Right.
Arrest the guy? No.
Whatever. And I'm super allergic to cats, and I'm all about shop cats. I don't need to be in there. Or
said it already, but a lot of new people here. It's awesome to see the community grow. Is that an emotional support pig? Somebody's posting a picture.
All right, folks. I'm seriously going to have to make a live recording chat channel that you and I can look at so people can have conversations that aren't distracting us during the show.
Yeah. Oh, we're always going to have this general channel for people to hang out in. That's never going to go away. But we have talked about, like, as more and more people show up, we're just talking about having like specific channels to talk about specific things, so that it's not just like one enormous feed of you log in, there's like 500 messages.
It would be nice just to be able to have a channel, because a lot of times we ask you guys questions and you give us feedback and like live corrections while we're talking, and that's great to see.
It's still fine for now. Varen's Dank Meme repository is a suggestion by Snakes and Foxes.
Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Rate us in the Apple Podcast app or support us on Patreon. Is that good enough?